Well, AHS came after us 4 different times. Each time they saw something different. So we did get harassment from them. And then from them, they couldn't do any more to us. So they sent Parkland County out. Parkland County came on our property without consent. And they gave us a closed order. So June 30th came a closed order from them. We could sell our plants outside, but no more going in. And in fact, September 30th, the end of September, we had a fundraiser, and they threatened that if we were going to go into one of our buildings, we would have been put into jail.
Sheila Gunn-Reid for Rebel News, and I'm here about an hour west of Edmonton, Alberta on Highway 43. Very busy highway, might I add. And I'm here at Mojo's Garden Center and Diner. Now, the owners here, Monica and John Oshvalda, have a crazy story to tell. It goes back, though, about a year, maybe a little bit more. The government asked them to close down their diner to comply with COVID restrictions. They did not. So they were issued a ticket. And now this year, after successfully running the garden center 4 years and getting all the appropriate building, gas, and electrical permits and business permits to operate, they were not allowed to reopen the garden center this year. And in fact, they were informed that they wouldn't be allowed to reopen just a week before their official reopening. Well, as you know, garden centers need to start their plants way earlier in the season. So their investment in their business started back in January, and yet the government pulled the rug out from underneath them just a week before they were to open. And John and Monica think it has a lot to do with that earlier stand against the COVID cops. Their story is heartbreaking. Hopefully you can find it in your heart to support them. Let's go hear, though, from Monica and John. Now, I know that you reopened in defiance of the lockdown, and Alberta Health Services moved in pretty quickly, in and around the time that Grace Life was seized. I know that my friend Devin was telling me that you had reopened and Alberta Health Services had moved in.
Yes, we actually really kept it going until AHS came in. Mother's Day was really the start of trouble with AHS. So that was when things started to fall apart for us.
And what exactly happened there?
So AHS came in and they wanted to find out what was going on, and so they gave John a ticket, and they said that they wanted us closed. So we decided we were going to have patio dining and go that way.
It's late April. Garden centers should be teeming with life, and your business has all but been destroyed by the government.
Well, AHS came after us 4 different times. Each time they saw something different. So we did get harassment from them. And then from them, they couldn't do any more to us. So they sent Parkland County out. Parkland County came on our property without consent. And they gave us a closed order. So June 30th came a closed order from them. We could sell our plants outside, but no more going in. And in fact, September 30th, the end of September, we had a fundraiser, and they threatened that if we were going to go into one of our buildings, we would have been put into jail. So it was fearful. It was a year that was very difficult for us.
So what are you supposed to do with all these plants, according to the county?
I don't know. Permits. They're coming back on us, and they're saying there was no permits for nothing. We, on the other hand, have got permits. We've got development, we've got building, we've got all the permits that we could possibly get. We even have business license from them, but they're trying to deny, saying that we do not have any permits at all.
But you do have permits.
Yes. Yes, we have permits for everything. And so they're fighting us and telling us we don't. We're turning around and saying, yes, we do. It's just been very, very troublesome because what do we do?
Yeah. So what has the financial toll been on you and your family here? You're scoffing. Tell me.
We don't have no financial income right now, but for the last 6 months, been dead.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the garden industry. You have to make your money in the summer to survive the winter.
Yep. Well, you have to put out so much money, and then hopefully you'll make it back. But, well, if they're shutting us down, we can't.
So what's the next step for you guys?
Well, that's why I called you, because I don't know. I mean, we made up our mind. We were going to go with a garden center this year. So back in January, we decided, you know what? We're just going to go ahead with this. Enough is enough. So we started growing in January, and they knew, Parkland County knew that we were doing this. So a week before we opened up, we had our CMP come to us and say, or give us a stop notice. So we had to stop everything. And we're like, why? So we read the stop notice, and in the stop notice it says greenhouses should not be on an agriculture farm, which is very disappointing.
What?
Greenhouses are part of a farm, but they see it as no. So, and they're trying to tell us that we had permits. They want us to get more permits, a development permit, and start all over again. We're fighting that and saying, no, we're not.
So why do you think they're doing this? Is it because they couldn't bring you to your knees with regard to COVID because you opened in defiance of COVID? Is that what's going on here?
I believe so, but I do know that when we did go to court, they did say that HS did send him over. And so it was a push from HS, and that's why they had to come. I do know that they did not want to search out our barn. That was something that they were pressured into doing.
And they came onto your land without a warrant?
Oh yes, yeah. We saw nothing. They just came in. They said that they were coming in to search, and they did. And from there, they just gave us closed notice on each one of these buildings here.
It sounds to me like Alberta Health Services couldn't stop you. They couldn't bring you to your knees. So they've deployed all the other parts of the government to you. We see this all the time with restaurants when they can't get the restaurant to close, so then they pull your liquor license, and then they call the landlord. Yes. They can't call your landlord, and they can't pull your liquor license here, but they could send the county after you.
And that's what they did. It just, the things that County of Parkland are asking from us is just unbelievable, because right from day one, we were good with everything. We had our permits that we needed to get. I mean, we even had an award from Parkland County saying that we were one of the best small businesses in residential. We even had an award from Assembly of Canada, or of Alberta. And so, you know, I don't understand why this has come to this point, because if they recognized us as being a business here and everything was good, why all of a sudden did they come to us now and say no more? Like, I don't understand that, and I don't know if I ever will.
I'm sure people are going to see this and they're going to be outraged, because you're just doing your best to survive the pandemic. This is, you've done your best to try to change your business, tailor your business, but they just won't leave you alone. How do people support you? Why don't you give them your address so that they can come here? Your garden center is open, even though that might get you in a little trouble. The restaurant's open. Tell us how people can find you and how they can support you.
Well, our address is 53310 Highway 43, which is 10 minutes west of Stony Plain. Reason why I'm giving directions is the GPS sends a person off to somewhere else. So
I found it fine.
So 10 minutes west of Stony Plain, going on Highway 16 to Highway 43, and then 2 kilometers north on Highway 43. Supporting us through purchasing plants. We do have our food truck, and if you'd be willing to come on and just say hi and support us through that as well, we'd love to see you all. And we got to keep our heads held high. and keep going.
Monica and John are just trying to hang on to a shred of their Alberta entrepreneurial dream after it was devastated by the COVID lockdown, then the COVID cops, and now bureaucrats at Parkland County. You know, the politicians and the bureaucrats and the health officers, they tell us everything is back to normal. But if you're somebody like Monica and John, just trying to keep your head above water, nothing about this is normal. For Rebel News, here west of Edmonton in Parkland County at Mojo's Diner and Garden Center, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. The government and the health bureaucrats keep telling us that everything is back to normal and the vaccine passport is lifted, but it sure isn't if you are one of the millions of Canadians who are unable to fly or go on a train because you refuse to divulge your private medical information to an airline. And if you are someone employed, or I guess now at this point formerly employed at a workplace that requires proof of vaccination. But we are fighting back. We're doing that in a partnership with the Democracy Fund to support those efforts to fight back against medical segregation. Please visit fightvaccinepassports.ca.